I didn't get a chance to get into the hospital to see her until Friday after school, and by the time I had gotten in there, she was really starting on the downward hill into major depression. Friday it was spent bolstering her spirits. Saturday it was spent crying with her because she was upset that she couldn't make a sound on her mouthpiece. And she's like, I've lost music. I feel like I'm never going to go home. So at that point in time, she'd lost two of her like big things to hang on to, and she's an extremely independent lady. I went to see her yesterday, and here's the good part. And she was so excited to see me. I was the one person that she had been asking for since Wednesday to see. So I went and I saw her again yesterday. And I walked in, I said, hey Jocelyn, how are you doing? And she's like, I am so happy you're here. You can't wait to see what's going on. I got up and I was able to walk today. I passed all of my doctor's tests. She says, I'm planning on getting out of here. They may not like it because I'm not telling them, but I'm getting out of here, she says. She's a spry old one, okay? And she says, I've got one more thing. So she reaches into her little pocket on her nightgown, dress thing, whatever they call them, and she's pulling out things after another. I'm surprised what she can pack into there. The last thing she pulls out is her French horn mouthpiece, and she's like, watch this is the most exciting thing ever. Excuse me, because this made me cry. And she puts it up to her mouth, and she starts playing on it, and she starts doing the different things that you got to do on a brass mouthpiece in order to change it. She says, I got music back. That means I get to go see my home soon. And so that was my thing, is to see her starting to come back out of that depression. Sorry. Okay, 2 claps. All right, so is there anybody else that wants to share their good things? Thank you.
We bought a house that we're remodeling, and despite all the forewarnings that none of our contractors or anybody who showed, our plumber and electrician were on the job today. So I hope we'll have lights and plumbing again.
Very cool. When did you buy this house originally to redo it?
We bought it, I think, like December 31st. Yeah, New Year's Eve.
Wow, very cool. How big is the place?
Not very big.
Mansion.
It's pretty humble. It's like 15 hectares.
That's very nice. Very cool. Thank you for the ambient music. That's beautiful. I like it. All right, so 2 claps, please, for Lindsay. Anyone else? Thank you.
My older son's flying to play football at the University in Southern California, officially on Wednesday. So it's a really
I know, I saw that picture. That was really awesome. What's the name of the university again?
University of Laverne. It's a small university in Southern California.
Oh, that's very cool. So that, like, what is his major going to be?
Well, right now it's going to be math of some sort, like maybe like a guillotine, but I'm just changing that.
So it's a math oriented, but not for sure where he's going.
Yeah, because he goes back and forth and like sports training.
To this next thing over here. Well, that's really cool to hear. Congratulations. 2 claps, please. All right. Anyone else?
2 new babies at home. I'm sure most of you are aware of that.
Congratulations, by the way. What are their names again? Okay, now. Okay.
Penelope and Delilah.
How's the household getting along with the new babies?
Yeah, they love them. We just gotta keep, the little ones, so we just have to like keep them from like, the 2-year-olds and the 3-year-olds want to touch them, so
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing, but
Other than that, they're home. Well, that's really awesome. I'm glad to see that they're home and that Carrie's okay too. 2 claps, please. Anyone else?
I had one good thing was pretty big really for me. My little boy, a couple of you guys know, he had a big, huge, it looked like a plantar wart on the bottom of his butt, and he's an athlete, and we took him to the doctor, and they said that's not just a plantar wart, that's a mosaic wart, which is like a big cluster of plantar warts. And so they said that they were going to have to treat him, and they thought it was going to be invasive, like it sounded like it was going to be really intense and long term. They said possibly 4 months to like a year and a half, they were saying. And it was like they were going to put this chemical on him that was going to cause like a really bad allergic reaction that could possibly cause cancer and all kinds of crazy stuff. And so they told us in the meantime, they put this thing on his hip to get an allergic reaction to it because that's what they want. And then when the body recognizes it as an allergy, then they put it on the wart, and then the body fights it off, and So they put it on his hip, and then they told us to just go get the salicylic acid, 40% over the counter. That's for plantar's warts. And to put it on in the meantime, for 2 weeks, we put it on, and then I took him back to the doctor on Friday, and they were like, oh my gosh, like I can't even believe how much improvement this is. Like it looks like you can't even see half the warts, because there was like a whole bunch of little ones. They said they can't even see half the ones that were there that they froze off, and it was like it had all the clusters had gone up into one wart, and it's like it's drying up and falling off in 2 weeks.
Oh, good.
And so, and I mean, we're a praying family, so I attribute it to that. I told the doctor, she's like, "Oh, we'll have to put that on our list of remedies," and so because they're like, I didn't even think it would touch it, and I didn't think it would either, because if you've had warts, you know how stubborn they can be, and it was just an over-the-counter remedy when they're talking about 1.5 years of intense treatment and him not being able to play sports and stuff. So, anyways, that was like a huge good thing for us that he can walk on it now, because he was using crutches, he couldn't walk on it, it hurt so bad. And so, anyways.
Was this something that would have left a scar, or was it going to
I
leave a
was,
scar?
well, I'm talking to people that have had plantar warts, they were worried that they were going to have to cut out part of his feet, part of his foot, like, yeah, like
Thank
a big chunk of it.
goodness
So to us, like, yeah, I mean, she just was like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe this, like, the doctor's not going to, like, even believe that this even happened, so pretty, like, amazing within 2 weeks. Something that they think they were going to have to, she's like, I don't even think we're going to have to do the invasive procedure anymore, so
That's very good.
big time good thing, yeah.
I don't have any other questions, so 2 claps, please.
Okay.
All right, anyone else?
Okay. Mary Jo's not here. She's in a meeting, so we're just gonna talk about Destination Decades, and then you're going home. So I'm gonna try and talk fast.
Okay.
So if you are a new teacher, you are already meeting with me this Thursday. So if this doesn't make any sense, it will. Just keep on keeping on. And also bring your folders. So new teachers, these little red folders will be your lifeblood soon, so don't lose them. So a lot of the decisions about Destination Decades this year were made because of testing, which I don't know how much of the testing stuff you guys know yet. But the testing, because it's on the computers, is really long and complicated, and there's like 7 weeks of it. It's going to be nuts, but it's about as organized as it can be at this point, and Mrs. Clark is going to be the person that talks to you about that in March. So I'm really only going to talk about the testing stuff if it impacts Destination Decades, so you know why this stuff for Destination Decades looks different this year than it did last year. So we're just going to open up our folders and start from the beginning, which is the calendar. Just follow with me, do your best. So the calendar starts really, really early with today because Destination Decades is going to replace the 6th pause rotation. So I need to have the student lists to Joanne far in advance of when I used to do it, when it was just on paper, because I used to just do it overnight, but Joanne needs the time to actually put it in PowerSchool this year. So that's why everything feels like it's starting really, really early. But as an FYI, the last pause rotation, you will have Destination Decades, not pause. Again, this Thursday, new teachers are meeting with me. If you have highlighter or pen, the 22nd is really important to you. Pause teachers will be running the first rollout in pause. This is Mrs. Mulligan's request to save time in the content area classes. So on the 22nd in your pause class, whether you have success or not, you will be talking about Destination Decades. So the first thing that you will do on that day is go over a rollout PowerPoint that looks something like this. It goes very briefly and quickly over the concept behind Destination Decades. You can just go slide by slide. There's not a lot of prep that's needed, especially those of you that have done it before. You can answer a lot of their questions. You will have both 7th and 8th grade students in your classes, so please be understanding of your 7th graders that they have no idea what's going on, and your 8th graders that they have lots of preconceived notions about what's going on, so be prepared for that. But remind them that they are going to be working on a project in a group, and the group is going to involve 3 to 4 people, and they'll be in a pause class for that. And it has to be within their own team. So those team rosters will be posted the same day, or basically the weekend before that day, so the weekend before the 22nd. There will be team rosters posted all over school. Please remind them several times over that they have to find their name on a list. 8th graders especially are not teamed. They're just not. So They will have to find their name on a list, and they can only work with people within that list. And remind them to choose their group members wisely. It might behoove you to have your 8th grade students talk about how badly they failed in this endeavor last year, if they're willing to be honest about it. Most of the time, mine are. So that might help the 7th graders. They will be actually choosing the groups on the 29th in their science classes. So that is something that's happening in science. PAWS teachers, you don't need to worry about that, but you do need to worry about the permission slip. So please on the 29th, highlight or circle that. You are responsible for the permission slips that belong to you. So Amanda's going to give you a packet of them right now. If you are a success teacher, can you raise your hand? 1, 2, 3. Okay, and so I think Amanda knows who you are. You guys are only getting 15. If you need more than 15, I'll buy that day. Like if you have more than 15 kids, I'll give you more. That's fine.
So we're gonna get permission slips out on Monday,
Yes.
but if we don't have them again in success the following week,
I'll figure that out. Like, let me like actually know the answer to that question, because I don't know the answer to that question. It's towards the end of a pause thing too, so maybe I can just not have success by then. We'll see.
Heather, I'm assuming I have 2 TAs during that time, so I just need 2 for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your students, that's the only people you're responsible for a permission slip for. But being responsible for a permission slip means you keep track of them returning that permission slip to you. And if they don't return a permission slip to you, you need to send an email home. My plan is to send an email to you that's like, copy and paste the body of this email and change the pronouns appropriately to fit your children. It's like a cover our booties that like they got this permission slip and that the parents know that this is happening and that they know that they can go on the website if they have questions or they want to complain about it, which they often do. So it is your job. I will answer the question about the success teachers because I have no idea what the answer is. But other than that, you will be responsible for your PAWS children returning their permission slips to you. So do that. Be angsty. But then again, the students are going to be selecting groups in science, so you don't need to worry about that. On the 7th of March, the PAWS rotation number 5 begins. That's still PAWS, so that's just the 5th out of 5 times you will have your PAWS class. And then on the very next day, so this is the 2nd day of your class. I know that stinks, I'm sorry. You will run the 2nd rollout PowerPoint. So if you want to circle that or highlight it, it's the 8th of March. And you will roll the PAWS rollout PowerPoint that talks about selecting project options. This is the children's favorite version. Okay, so one of the things you will do on the 8th is go over this booklet, which I will give you copies of today. There's 7th grade one and an 8th grade one. You have both 7th graders and 8th graders in your classroom. Sorry. You'll have to figure that one out. 7th graders are choosing from 7th grade projects. 8th graders are choosing from 8th grade projects. That seems logical. What I really need you to do the day that you roll this out is not let them get away with being lazy. I often have children tell me that they only picked the project because the title was nice, and now they are annoyed because they have to research something they don't want to research. I get it, they're in middle school, but if you could maybe force them to read the project options at the very least. Look at the things they might be invited to create. Look at the things they will need to answer. Make sure they understand what it means when they read about assassinations or death. All the 8th grade projects are about death. I don't know why, but they are. So just have them read the project. Don't let them get away with not reading the project. Oh, I'm just going to skim it and blah, 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 we're moving on. Just please have them read the project to the best of your ability. So I'm also going to give you these before the meeting is over. You will get 8 of the 7th grade and 8 of the 8th grade, and you will have to enjoy all 16 of them. So enjoy. The other thing that you will be talking about that day is the fact that this is a graded project. Please push this. It's one of the reasons the students buy into it. So the grade counts as a test grade in all 5 of your classes. The only exception to that is Math 1-2 children in 8th grade. It counts as a quiz grade. If you don't have 8th graders sitting in your classroom freaking out about 1-2, you don't need to mention that, but if they are freaking out about 1-2, it just counts as a quiz grade. Any questions so far? Okay, so again, basically if you go through these PowerPoints, which I will send you the day before you have to do this, the students will get all the information that they need. And then going back to the calendar, they will be choosing groups in science class. So you do not have to do that. You just have to run the rollout PowerPoint. This is saving our science department several days of class, so please do it to the best of your ability. Okay, so now there's a nice little gray spring break at the bottom. You can all look longingly at it and then flip the page. On the next page, April 4th, there's a team leader meeting. That is all the team leaders plus possibly some sped people. We will be talking about the recommendations for how your teams choose which students go with which mentors. And then the teams will be meeting on the early release for the 7th. Team leaders, I will remind you of this so you can email an invitation to your team people. But you're sitting here right now, try not to schedule anything that day, otherwise you will end up out of the football draft that most teams do, and like, bummer for you. So try not to miss that day. And then I need that information by the end of the 7th because it gives Joanne like barely 2 weeks to get it into Power School, and I promised her all of those 2 weeks, so please help me do that for her. Okay, and then the second page of the calendar starts on April 25th. That is the first day of pause rotation number 6, aka Destination Decades. That's 4 weeks after spring break. That's 4 weeks into the crazy testing schedule. By this time, pause will already have moved to after first period because of testing. So when testing begins after spring break, which Ms. Clark will talk about in March, it will be first period, pause, second period, the rest of the day. Okay? Similar to the way we used to do Destination Decades 0 hour last year and the year before that. So it should feel kind of familiar to us. So that means this is happening in the morning. It also means that there will be slightly more time in the class periods. Again, something I'm going to let Ms. Clark talk about next month. But the periods will be slightly longer than they are right now. So it'll be first period, slightly longer pause, second period. That is already happening by the time Destination Decades start. That will not be a strange thing for the students. By that point, they'll be used to it. But for you, that is where your lesson plans start. We'll go over that in a second. And then Destination Decades proceeds pretty normally until the actual day of the event, a week before school ends. Now, because Destination Decades is a week before school ends, you will have these same students in your class for 4 days after Destination Decades is technically over. I recommend things like cleaning up, group growing activities from the CKH handbook, anything that you think will help them prepare. If you have 8th graders, talk about high school. If you have 7th graders, talk about 8th grade. Really, that's going to be up to you to make those 4 days useful and meaningful for your students. So start prepping for that, maybe work with your team on that, etc. But those last 4 days, the 20th through the 25th, are yours, and you will have them, and I will not have anything prepared for you. So rock on.
Quick question, are we still going to be at the first period pause?
As far as
second,
I
all
know,
the way through?
yes. If that
Okay.
changes before March, then it changes. But as far as I know, yes.
Okay.
So very clear.
Yeah.
For the rest of the year.
That's where it currently stands, which could change. Okay, and then if you just flip really quickly to the teams on the back page, we need to talk a little bit about numbers. When Destination Decades started, we fought really hard as a committee to make sure that the numbers in your classroom were down. Unfortunately, this year there's a reality that testing makes that pretty much impossible for me to do for you. So currently the average number of students in your classroom is going to be 31. That is because we are losing a lot of teachers to covering for testing, which is going to be taking place during Destination Decades as well. So just take a look at those teams. They might change, as you can tell. This has changed several times. My TA has, in fact, copied and pasted this thing in here like 3 times already. She's pretty sick of it. But it has been changing a lot. I think it's pretty solid right now. I tried to make sure that every team had an equal number of content teachers, normal upstairs content teachers, plus exploratory teachers, and an equal number, like SPED was pretty spread out and that kind of thing. That's my goal whenever I do this. Anybody have any quick questions about what's going on during Teams? Thank you, because I don't have any answers. Okay, so if you just flip, so now you should have a colored piece of paper, like a yellow piece of paper or a pink piece of paper. This is your mentor packet. I've given you a paper version. There's also a digital version on the Destination Decades website, which I will talk about in a second. So there it is. So there's your mentor packet. And you can make it full screen if you want. Oh, I think I just have the projects in there. But this is where the mentor packet will be eventually. And you can share it with your students digitally and project it on the screen if you want to just project it on the screen. You can use the DocCam to project this on the screen. There will be a PowerPoint like there normally is. You got lots of options for how you're going to show your students this. But this is your daily lesson plan. So there's a copy of the calendar. And then every single day it says, this is what your students should be working on today. Please do these things with them. Please yell at them about XYZ. Please highly encourage ZYX. Please bug them about ABC, okay? And it just if you just do the thing on the paper, then you will do the thing correctly. There's no way to screw this up, I promise. Well, maybe there is, but at the bottom it says your folder includes. Last year I wrote that and then I didn't put it in your folders. I put it in your folders this year, so you have actual things in your folders. So your folder includes copies of the CKH questions for contract building. Then if you flip a couple pages, it says your folder includes 10 pieces of blank paper for group drafting. And then if you flip some more pages, your folder includes a bunch of source things. Let's talk about those. So can you check the front pocket of your folder? Mine is prettier than yours. Sorry, I have bought duct tape for it. In the front pocket, you should have one copy of the CKH questions and 10-ish pieces of white paper. There you go. If you don't have them, yell at me later, please. On the back pocket of your folder, you should have 15-ish copies of some sources, some blank sources sheets, and 15-ish copies of the sources cheat sheet. Looks like that. Okay, so this is something new this year, mostly because I failed at it last year. So it was a suggestion after year one that we make the students cite their sources, because that's logical. And then last year I forgot, sorry. So I remembered this year, and this year they are required to have a blank, filled in sources sheet attached to the back of their trifold board. It says it in their student packet, it says it in your mentor packet, you get to say it to them. It is part of their grade, so if it is not on the back of their trifold board, that's going to be a bummer. But because obviously not all of our students know how to do this yet, we're giving them a copy of this cute little cheat sheet, which tells them what kind of information to look for. And it also has a copy of Kathy Schrock's 5 questions about how to make sure your source is a good source. So when they're Googling and they Google the whole question and then they don't get anything, or they get some ridiculous website by DonaldTrump.com or whatever, then you can tell them, make sure it's a good source by asking these 5 questions. We're going to try it, and if it fails, then we're going to try again next year. That's what we're going to do. Does anybody not have those right now? If it's a mistake, blame it on me, not my TAs. They did a good job. Okay. So that is your mentor packet. If you go to the next colorful piece of paper in your folder, you should see the student packet. It just says 0-hour packet on it. You will get copies of this, but not now because you don't need them yet. The suggestion from last year was to please put the calendar in, so they will have a copy of the calendar all to their lonesome this year, so that they can see it at all times. You are grading this packet. Again, new teachers, I promise I will go over this again on Thursday. But we're just doing a weekly grade this time because there's extra days. So at the end of each week it says 0-hour week grade out of 25 points, and then there's 4 of them. And I think that equals 100, so we should be good. There is a requirement that they write in complete sentences. Please do not flake on this, because then they will flake on this. They do not get full credit if they do not write in complete sentences. That will help you when you have time to fill, and also help their English teachers who are trying to make them do that on a regular basis. The last piece of colorful paper is just a copy of all the projects in case you want to see them, in case your students want to see them before you are supposed to show it to them. case you students want to see them after you have shown them, you have a copy of it. Okay. Where am I? Alright, so a couple of things that are new. One is the Destination Decades website, tdestinationdecades.weebly.com. This website is a brainchild of Mr. Knapp and myself. It is not quite finished. As you can see, Team 7-1 currently consists of just Miss Civic, whose page does not exist yet. But eventually, oh, it does. Oh, good job, Mr. Knapp. So eventually all these things will work.
We'll just make copies off of it. We'll be good.
Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, so eventually you go to like the team page that you belong to, and then there will be a link to your page, and then there will be a lot of things there, including copies of the student packet. If your students lose their packet, please don't send them to me. Last year, like the last 3 days of Destination Decades, I could not even talk to my own students because I had like 47 people like, can you bring me a packet? And that was my fault. I totally get it. I didn't even give you a copy of it, so how could you print it? But now you have a copy of it. Just go there and download it and print it for them from your own computer if they lose it. You will also have a link for inputting grades when we get there. I'll tell you about it later. And a copy of all of the interview rubrics if you want to do them digitally instead of on paper. The other thing, this is really for parents, is they can see and download all of the projects to their very happiest lonesome. And then eventually, more updated than it is right now, there will be calendars and deadlines. I hope to update this pretty frequently so it has upcoming deadlines for them, but we'll see if that happens. And there will be lots of calendars. Right now there's just blank space.
I have more free time now to help.
Yay, Mr. Knapp will do that. That will no longer be my job. I got it. So again, this is a resource for you, especially if you're in a more digital classroom or you want to not be dealing with paper or you want to lose your papers. Now you can go find them. I do that a lot. There you go. So, some things that I need to say, because I need to say them. Please do not send students to Kristen during Destination Decades for supplies. That is not fair. If you want to have supplies for your students, then get them. That is great. I will. I like to have Braille crayons in my classroom. But if we all send children to Kristen's desk in the 40 minutes that we have them for Destination Decades, life will just collapse, and there will be a big bang, and it will be terrible. So please do not do that. Also, do not send them to Miss Bay's classroom. She is not allowed to give you supplies. She is not allowed to give your adorable children supplies. She's not even allowed to give your unadorable children supplies, so please do not send them to her. She will say no, and I will say yay. Please do not send students to the labs. So in the past, we have had labs. We will not have labs, because the labs will be testing. We will have to work around that. Use your teaching computer, use your projecting computer, use whatever devices you personally feel comfortable letting your students use, and don't let them use whatever you don't feel like comfortable letting them use. But do not send them to the computer lab, because there are children in there taking a test that we can get in trouble for messing up, so please don't. And also, please do not send them to the library. If you looked at the team thing closely enough, Miss D will have her own lovely children in here, all of whom you don't want to see in your own classroom. So please do not send her more.
Thank you, Miss D.
So also for discipline, this is, as always, a Destination Decades. Discipline is the same as in a regular class. Obviously, it's not the same as in PAWS, because now they're in groups, they're working on a group project. You cannot just kick them out, because that affects the rest of the group. So, there's some buy-in here with that they get a grade for this project. Please encourage them to remember that. They also get the buy-in that it's all their friends' projects if they pick the right people, so please encourage them to remember that. But this needs to be the same kind of discipline it is in your classroom. Use the steps. Obviously, if they make their way through the steps, then enjoy your time in the office. You've chosen wisely. But you do it the way we normally do it, because we take it like the way it is for a regular class. And they will also be in your Power School this year, so you will have access to the ability to contact home, which last year, if they weren't one of your already students, you couldn't do that. Now you can, because they will be in your Power School. Okay. I think that I have already talked about everything I need to talk about. Mr. Bitterman only likes to listen to the last sentence, so here's the last sentence. Read my emails, please. Because my emails will be really, really short, and they will be like, tomorrow you are doing X, click here. And then if you click there, you will be doing it right. If you just click delete, then it will be a bummer. But sorry, it's the best word I could think of. And if you're missing something from your folder or you lose something, please come see me or email me or call me or whatever you want to do. This process is designed to be enjoyable. It was designed by teachers. I know now it sounds like my thing, but it wasn't. It was our thing for a long time. So it takes a little elbow grease. You don't get to just sit at your desk for 40 minutes and stare at their heads, but with a little bit of elbow grease, it should be fun. We should get through this. Questions? Okay, new teachers, I'll see you Thursday. Please bring your folder, and I think that Miss Love is launching us.
Claps for Heather.
I hate talking to adults, I'm sorry. We can't really breathe right now.
Yes, I need to talk about 301.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Heather.
Okay, this year, when you send your 301 down to Shelley, do not send her all of the data. She doesn't want to see every single one of your students plus all of their grades and everything. That needs to come to me. What I'm giving you, the paper that I'm passing you out now is the only thing that you're going to give to Shelley. Okay? Your students' names and their grades go to me. Because I have to put them in my copy. Okay? On this paper, we changed it a little bit where the number of students, they have to get a 90% or higher on their post-test, or 4%. And there's a little typo there, right at the beginning, in the first box where it says improve 3%, that should say 4. Okay, did everybody get one? Like this first box here, it says 3%, but underneath it said 4%. So we changed it to 4% higher instead of 3% higher this year. This is also on the shared drive. If you want to do it on there and compute it on there. Shelley would like to have these before spring break. So March 16th, you might want to mark that. March 16th, this goes to Shelley. Okay, so that she has time to figure out how we did as a school. Okay?
Isn't it due to, when's it due to the district office, April?
I'm not sure the date, but I know it's in April sometime.
What's this?
That's data.
Isn't that due April?
Oh, is it in April?
I want to say it's like usually mid-April, and then
Yeah.
our packets are due the 1st of May.
The packets are due the 1st of May to me, yeah.
The 301 packets.
And so we thought we'd do this a little earlier this year so that she can get it done and get them sent. Okay? Is that okay? Everybody with their post tests?
No, I think it,
Well, it's a lot of focus for our kids. Our kids just to, because we have 2 months full of curriculum that we still need to get through. So I don't want to front load all their vocab.
So when do you want to have it
So
done?
your scores aren't gonna go up that percentage, you're still missing the.
Yeah. Yeah. Because of the time difference. You know, like
As long as there's enough time to get all the, as long as everything gets turned in and I have enough time to put it all together, because
I just think if maybe we would have known, we could have took those fourth quarter words off of our pretest, because they're still not, maybe they get them in Elliston, we're lucky to get them, but.
We'll find out the deadline in like, so.
All right. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew. This goes to Shelley, everything else goes to me. Okay, you can put all the information in my mailbox, the grades from the kids, and just give this to Shelley. Okay? And you can do either. Yeah. Tomorrow, professional development. You're going to be allowed to do it in your room on your own computer. If I understand that Nisa said that you can come down to her room if you want to while you do it. And you said there's a summary at the end that needs to be done and shown to Laura.
No, you need to sign, it's like the normal sign-in sheet for 301. Laura's gonna have that when you're done. And there's a summary, so it's kind of, just basically gonna choose some things that you learned that day that you're gonna try to implement. And just kind of summarize them and turn them into one of our mailboxes.
Okay.
It says it on the paper, there's directions.
Any questions?
So we'll confirm when, or we'll confirm that.
I'll send an email out to
Okay.
him.
The only, go ahead and get ready for your lunch. The only other thing that I wanna let you all know is that I'm gonna, put out one final yes/no survey on pause. And, you know, the number of people that voted from the back, it was, overwhelmingly more for it. But some undecided, and some of you were not here, so, so I'm gonna put out another survey, yay or nay, and I'm gonna say one more time, because there's been rumors out there that I wasn't honest with you. I don't care which way we go. So this is your thing. Our data can go either way. We don't have solid data that says this is overwhelmingly helping kids. We don't have it. Is it great for kids? You saw the parent survey feedback. Lots of parents mentioned the positive for the pause test. But I wouldn't lie to you. If I had a bias and said I want this to happen, I would tell you right up front I want it to happen. But I don't have that. So because I think there was some unease out there from some people that I guess didn't trust me when I said that. Final answer, put it on the survey, and really whatever comes out from that, I will go with that. Okay. The one thing I'll tell you is I think that Shelley and I are going to work on this. When I do this survey out there, it's going to attach what the schedule will look like, because I think we will put it in the middle of the day. Because our morning and our afternoon, we get kids late and we get kids early, leaving early, and it'll never change. So that will be part of your decision. We'll have the schedule on there, what it'll look like. It will be similar to what we're doing, you know, with the testing and everything. So that will be part of your decision making when you vote. Okay, so be honest, because we're going to be starting to work on the schedule for next year very soon here. So, all right, so I'll get that out hopefully this week. So, okay.
All right, I think we all, probably, or most of us, are guilty of kind of spending too much time on our devices at some point or another. So this is just a reminder to live in the present and to spend more time with our people than with our phones.
Hey man, I recently been doing some contemplation about people's dependency upon cellular telephones.
Yeah man, me too. I've really noticed that everyone always seems to be on their mobile device instead of really being in the moment.
Exactly. And I feel like this is a very significant issue that needs to be addressed immediately.
Yes, immediately.
We really should do something about this.
Here we have a man who's chosen the Instagram, his apple pie a la mode. While he fumbles through the filters, his ice cream has gotten a la hot and the pie a la cold. As you can see, this street performer's drawn a crowd to watch him do his thing. But instead of just enjoying the show, it seems everyone's decided to make a documentary. Notice this unreasonably attractive people enjoying a reasonably priced Italian dinner together. Social networking instead of working. Oh, we didn't even know each other better. That doctor takes your taste. Since your dessert has gone to waste, when do you think you ever will? Wanna watch this portrait John and Bill? You know you want to touch each other. Doesn't that feel good?
He's my brother.
Get off the phone. There's no need to be afraid of the it doesn't love you. Stereotypical teen forced to endure family game night. He's stereotypically texting and missing his mom. Demonstrate the cameras arrive. Little Ethan here is celebrated being the center of the universe for 1 year. But the world's greatest dad is more worry, we're at 382 Pine. He has the nerve to make a phone call. It's such a pivotal moment in his friend's life. How could you be so disengaged? Our questions married by being made. You really think your friends need another baby picture in the feed? Don't we suggest self-centered guy? Now isn't that better?
I think he just died.
Get off the phone now. There's no need to be afraid. Get off the phone. Doesn't love you. It's gonna die one day. It's calling me, calling back. Syria anyway.
Hey guys, I'm on the set of our music video. There's Rhett. Seriously? What?
So live in the moment.
Thanks for watching our video. Check out.
Twitter. I think it's hilarious. They don't even know what